Good morning, Charlie.
Hello, good morning.
I think it'll be relevant, this conversation, to everyone today, Charlie. It's not just talking about LinkedIn specifically, it's talking about LinkedIn and networking going hand in hand. And if you have any questions for Charlie, the Q&A area is on the right-hand side, just along from the chat box. Feel free to add any in because I'll pick some out before we round off. But Charlie, thanks very much for joining us this morning. And to open things up, Charlie, how do you feel specifically that LinkedIn and networking go hand in hand? And where do you see people being able to leverage that relationship to enhance networking as an activity?
Oh, it's a great question. And to be honest, that's how I started using LinkedIn in the first place. And the best way to describe it was that, so I used to sell and market laser scanning equipment. So I was going to exhibitions and trade shows all around the world, trying to get everybody excited about the thing that we were doing, because obviously it was very different and unique to everybody else's. And I was at a trade show in Cape Town in South Africa, and it was an event that happened once every 4 years. And I was sat there and I was just thinking, this is really weird. Like, I don't want to wait 4 years to speak to these people. And I also don't want to be that spammy salesperson that's like emailing somebody every 5 minutes, because the type of technology that we were selling could take years to convert. And also, we all know that networking, it's a long-term investment. It takes time to build those relationships. So, LinkedIn was a tool that I knew nothing about. And I thought, I wonder what could happen. And just basically by connecting with the people that I met at these events and keeping that conversation going in a completely non-salesy way, but also in a very helpful way, because I started using LinkedIn to share tips and things like that around what we were selling, what we were offering, but with no sales intention. It was just about keeping that conversation going, about building momentum. And, over the years, I attribute literally millions of pounds worth of sales as a result of the relationships that I built off the back of LinkedIn through networking. And that doesn't just mean the people that I met at events. It's also about, meeting people online and inviting them to meet you at events, whether it's online or not. But, the networking potential is absolutely massive. Also on that, like from a mindset point of view, everybody thinks of LinkedIn as a social media tool. And this is my little soapbox, because it's not a social media tool. And when you use it like a social media tool, it's not going to work for you. Whereas if you use it as a social networking tool and behave online as you would do in person, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. So for you, it's between the events that the real value of LinkedIn and networking go hand in hand, which I'm sure a lot of people in here do already, and I can see that people share their links in the chat, and within the Remo platform, people can add their LinkedIn profile to their account and to their profile, so people can go directly to that. When it comes to people actually landing on their page, because it's great if you can connect to someone, get onto their profile, that is, as we've heard before, the shop window. So what can people do to really enhance that to make people think, right, I want to speak to this person. I'd like to learn a little bit more from them.
Yeah, it's a great question, because I think the actual networking event, whether it's a trade show, it's a conference, or this event here, that's the easy bit. If you really want to make networking work for you, then it's the before and the after work that really makes a difference. And your profile on LinkedIn is your landing page. It's your billboard and your place to really showcase to people who you work with, how you help them, and really what makes you different. So your profile isn't your online CV. It's not a place where you can just talk about yourself and tell everybody how wonderful you think you are. It's a place where you can show, because you can add media, you can add graphics, you can share stories. There's lots of different ways that you can actually show and demonstrate your credibility and authority in your space. So, it's that use your content and your marketing activity to create curiosity. Use your profile to convert that curiosity into action. And that action may be a connection request, it may be somebody following your content, or in a lot of cases, it could just be a direct lead or an inquiry there and then.
Yeah, so I think I like the point about the profile not being a CV. LinkedIn is often thought about as being a job seekers tool where people can go on and find a job. And I think that's mainly why it was originally built, but it's really evolved and it is not about finding a job anymore. So that shop window, that billboard is really where you can get people's attention, make them curious, and then start that conversation between events and before events and things like that. So when it comes to posting content specifically, because a lot of people have profiles here, and a lot of people in here are active in posting and sharing information. What's that balance in terms of what have you found work well with your clients in terms of posting content, more so around the balance of information and salesy content? What do you find hits the spot, and how should people really approach it when they're thinking, I don't know what to post?
It's a great question. So I think before you start thinking about content, think about it, in terms of your overall strategy. What are you using LinkedIn for? What are your business objectives? And also, most importantly, who is the type of person, or individually single out one type of person that you most want to start conversations with? Where are you going to get the biggest return on your investment? And on LinkedIn, investment, if you're doing your own sales and marketing, then your investment is your time and your energy. So think of LinkedIn in four areas. You want to be constantly seeking out those people that you really want to speak to. So don't just rely on inbound leads. Actively be growing your audience, be growing your network, and don't just wait for people to come to you. Be proactive. And be intentional as well. Don't be afraid to sort of scribble down a list of those people or those companies that you specifically want to be working with or speaking to. So seeking out people is the first one. Then you want to be engaging. So engaging with other people is just as important as posting your own content. And what do I mean by that? Sending people direct messages, commenting on other people's posts, actively looking for content that includes hashtags that's relevant to you, and just getting involved in those conversations. So don't miss out on that engagement piece. I think I was having a conversation in a room earlier where I said that marketers ruin LinkedIn because a lot of marketers use LinkedIn to broadcast messages, to send people back to websites. That's not what it's there for. It's a networking tool, so use it as a way to engage. Content for curiosity, profile to convert. So kind of like remember those things. So seek out, engage, then connect. So be sure that you're constantly connecting with people as well. You can follow people if you just want to keep an eye on their content and what it is that they're doing, but connect with people that you actively want to have a conversation with. And then the last piece is publish. So you want to be publishing your own content. And to share a rule, there's a content rule. Here is content of things that you want your market to know, things that you're interested in, things that you get excited about. Over here is content that your market is interested in, okay? The majority of people play in this zone. You need to bring the two together and play in this zone here. And that is the zone of engagement. That's where you're going to get engagement with your post. It has to be a blend of the two. It needs to be more about your ideal client or the people that you want to speak to. Your ideal client could be an ideal investor. It could be a partner, a collaboration or something. It doesn't always have to be that direct end client. So especially if you're in the B2C space, so you're selling to consumers, it wouldn't be a very good use of your time to be using LinkedIn to build relationships with your end customers, unless you're selling things of 10 grand plus. Whereas LinkedIn would be an amazing platform for you to form those relationships with key partners, collaborators, agents, distributors, and people like that.
Yeah, I think the key thing within that was engaging in content, not just your own. It's not just a place where you publish your own content. It's being involved in conversations. And that's where you can find conversations that are taking place within your specific industry and share knowledge. And then someone may be looking at that post, see what you've had to say about that particular topic and think, I'd like to speak to that person. As you say, spark their curiosity. Now, there is a lot of content out there. And it can be quite an overwhelming place at LinkedIn. Sometimes I go onto it and go, the first 3 or 4 messages are someone just trying to send me to another website, which I did read. LinkedIn mark you down if you're trying to send them away from LinkedIn. So they like to keep people on the platform. But how do you know on LinkedIn who to listen to, as there's so many conflicting pieces of advice and experts out there? What would you say to that?
So reputation is really important. And it's like your content needs to help you build that reputation. So don't try to copy other people with your content. Be unique. You know, anything that you have an opinion on, don't be afraid to share that. But also it's that, you know, if you like somebody's content, you think you might want to work with them, LinkedIn is an incredible place, because that profile is a place that you can check credibility and authority. You know, we're living in a place where there are lots of overnight LinkedIn experts. You know, everybody's a LinkedIn expert these days. You know, I was one of them 3.5 years ago, but I like to think, you know, because I've used it myself, I've generated a lot of actual business. There are quite a lot of people on LinkedIn at the moment that are very good at collecting followers and building massive audiences, getting lots of likes and comments on their post. So again, it comes back to, you know, what are your objectives? What do you want to achieve? And who or what is that thing that will help you achieve those objectives? Because if you want to build a massive following through content, then you want to be working with somebody that really excels in that particular space. But also, there are a lot of people that have massive audiences that are not able to actually generate business from that massive audience. So sometimes it's like seeing beyond the hype, because there is a lot of hype going on. I made a mistake last year. So I had a baby 17 months ago, and in a bit of a hormonal rage, I unfollowed 6,500 people in my network. I've worked in many different industries over the years, so I had a lot of contacts that I didn't want to see their post. It wasn't relevant to me, but I still wanted them in my network. Anyway, that wasn't a good idea, so I don't recommend doing that. And since I did that, my post engagement has completely dropped off a cliff. So if you go and have a look at any one of my posts, I'm not getting, you know, half the amount of engagement that I used to get. However, the amount of inbound leads that I get from LinkedIn has increased. And that is the metric that I'm more interested in. You know, I'm using LinkedIn as a way to build relationships and generate real business. I'm not using it as a popularity contest to chew the fat and talk about what I had for breakfast or what my kids are doing. That's not what I'm there for. Some people are there for that. If your market is interested in that sort of thing and you're happy to share that type of content, then that's the game that you want to play. So it's making sure that you explore, and I really do encourage you to do this, not just with LinkedIn, but with any marketing guru, because there's so much conflicting advice going on at the moment. Explore what's right for you and for your business. You know, I could tell you, blog every day, and that'll help your website get to page 1 of Google. If you don't like writing, you're never going to get that advice, you know. But there are ways that you could blog every day by speaking into your phone, for example. So I encourage people to explore, to be curious, to find something that's going to work for you. And there are hundreds of different marketing disciplines. There are lots of different ways that you can use LinkedIn and approach LinkedIn. And I just think, you know, if you're, I was speaking to somebody about this before as well, marketing in Star Wars terms, for anybody that's a Star Wars fan, you've got the light side and the dark side of marketing. It's your choice which side of the force you want to play on. So I say, like, stick to your lane, don't get distracted by what other people are doing, and just find somebody that shares your values, that ideally has achieved what you want to achieve, and can help you get there, you know. And content is a great way of checking credibility, looking at their profile, seeing what their background is. That's another way of doing it. Looking at the recommendations as well, and the type of people that are recommending them. That's really important, especially if you're looking at people that offer courses. You know, the digital marketing world is I'm not a big fan of it. It's very, very noisy, and it's very easy to pretend that you're an expert in something. Whereas LinkedIn, you can have a look at experience, you can have a look at recommendations, and it just helps you build up that picture of who you're really talking to.
Yeah, funnily enough, Anders and I were only talking this morning about recommendations through your personal page, because again, they are live testimonials from real people on your profile. So that's one tip that I'm definitely going to take away from today, that even Anders brought up this morning, that people should be asking people, not just for testimonials, get them to write a recommendation on your LinkedIn, and then you can take that recommendation and use it as a testimonial. So kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to go
LinkedIn first.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take some questions from the Q&A, Charlie, because some of the points we were going to discuss have actually been asked. So Martin Booth has asked, how often should you publish posts and articles on LinkedIn, daily, weekly, or monthly?
Oh, great question. So, well, it depends on your audience. So if you're targeting an audience that isn't very active on LinkedIn, so a lot of senior, very busy professionals, they're not on LinkedIn every single day. They're not scrolling through the newsfeed and things. So you don't need to be posting every single day. Articles are long form content. They have a long lifespan. You know, I have people that comment on articles I wrote 5 years ago, nothing to do with what I do today, but so articles last a long time, but the investment that you have to make in terms of writing them is much bigger. So, and again, it depends what you're trying to achieve. LinkedIn have this new feature called newsletters that they're slowly rolling out to more and more people, which means that you can essentially develop an email audience using LinkedIn articles. And the best way to know if you've got it is to just go and create an article and see if it says, do you want to create a newsletter? And then you can build up followers and email addresses that way. I always think articles is, you know, again, it depends on your marketing strategy. LinkedIn has to fit into your overall marketing strategy. The majority of people on LinkedIn like to consume sort of fast content, shorter content. So posts will always perform better than articles, but they only last a couple of weeks at most. LinkedIn's algorithm has been changing a lot recently, so posts are actually lasting a little bit longer. You'll notice that you can see posts that were created like a week ago at the moment. So it depends on the behaviors of your target audience. You know, I have a client that targets sort of like defense and public sector and military organizations. He posts like maybe once every 2 weeks and he gets a good return on his investment. You don't need to post more than once a day. Quality trumps quantity every single day on LinkedIn. But it's, you know, understand, when does your target market typically hang out on LinkedIn? How often do they hang out on LinkedIn? But also, what are they interested in? You know, what are they going to get value from? And then post to suit that. If you don't have anything good or interesting or valuable to say, don't say it. Comment on somebody else's post instead. The same, if you don't have any content inspiration or you've hit a bit of a creative brick wall, go and comment on other people's posts instead, or explore hashtags and things like that.
Yeah, on the subject of hashtags, Claudia's asked from the Network My Club team, what kind of hashtags should people be using and how many is the limit before it looks a bit too spammy?
A great question. So there was some research published, I think it was October time last year. Before October, it was 3. 3 was the optimum number of hashtags. And now it's been increased to 9. So if you use any more than 9 hashtags, LinkedIn's algorithm doesn't like it. So don't use more than 9. But also use them at the end of your post. This is part of a personal bugbear, but I've seen other people complain about this too. Don't like just include random hashtags throughout the post, you know, where you like hashtag productivity or hashtag, you know, whatever, unless it's specifically relevant. So it's like, have a look at your post. And also it's that before you hit publish, run the so what test. So ask yourself, so what? Like, will anybody care about this? Will anybody get any value from it? But then also ask yourself, if you were your target audience, what would you think about that post? How would you react? What would you do to it?
Yeah, good questions to ask yourself. A very quick one following on from the amount of times to post a day. Sam's asked, what time of day is best to post? Is there any tips on that?
Well, it used to be really important to post at the time of day that your target audience was most likely going to be on LinkedIn. But again, because of their recent changes and the post lasting a bit longer, that doesn't seem to have as much weight at the moment. I always say that, you know, the best time of day to post is when your target market is online. I used to target surveyors. Typically, they were online very early in the morning, never throughout the day, never at the weekend, never in the evenings. So I had a sort of limited window. If you're targeting small business owners, entrepreneurs that are typically on LinkedIn all day, every day, you know, post whenever you want. So it's, you know, Sunday afternoons, if you're targeting senior professionals, was always a good one for me. It's that, you know, downtime after Sunday dinner that you sit down and prepare yourself for the week and scroll through LinkedIn. But
yeah, that was good point. Putting yourself in your target market shoes.
Yeah.
When they're likely to be active. Kaya Lark has asked, should we post on a business page and then share via personal, or keep content of each separate? She posts more on personal, but would also like to grow the company page.
Oh, great question. So LinkedIn are investing quite a lot in company pages at the moment in terms of product pages and things like that. So every single business out there needs to have a company page and it needs to be linked to your personal profile. Unless you have a full-time person responsible for marketing in your company, then you want to be investing 80% of your effort on personal profiles and leveraging the networks of any customer-facing member of staff or member of the team. And then the company page, 10 to 20% of effort. And the reason for that is your company page is still a landing page. LinkedIn users, your target market, are going to be far more likely to engage with a personal post, because people buy from people. They engage with people, not faceless companies. So don't duplicate content either. So don't post the same content to your company page and your personal page and just hope somebody's going to see it. Be intentional with your activity. So that's not saying that you can't share your personal posts to your company page, but focus your energy on the place that you're going to get the biggest return, especially if you're trying to balance other activities and things like that.
Fantastic, thanks. Well, we've got a few more. I hope people don't mind us going a couple of minutes over, but we'll rattle through the last couple of questions. Ian Corners asked, do you have any tips on the elements of a good LinkedIn banner? Now, this is almost like the billboard element when you're going on to the profile. So when it comes to a LinkedIn banner, what are the tips that you share with your clients?
So shameless promotional post. If you go to my profile, if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I'm promoting a marketing quiz that I have at the moment, which I strongly recommend that you do because it's good fun. But if you have a particular campaign that you're running right now, or you have a webinar that you're running, an event, or a thing that you want people to see or go to, you can use that banner as a way to direct people to that and direct their interest to that. If you're not running anything like that at the moment, again, it's something that supports your reputation and adds a bit of personality to your profile. So just, you could just use it to point out the things that you want to be known for. So keep it simple. But again, it's visual, and we are all visual beings. So it needs to be in line with your branding. But also, if you're interested in cycling, for example, put some photos of bikes. It gives people a conversation starter and it makes it look pretty. So it's got to fit in line with what you're working towards. So again, always go back to those objectives. Like I always say, the otter behind me, the otter isn't just a cute aquatic animal, it's a framework, and the O stands for objectives. So any marketing activity you do or any sales activity you do has to work towards those objectives in your business that you're working towards.
Fantastic. I'm going to pick one out from Lloyd French here because it might be relevant to some of the professional services in the room. What's your thoughts on video content for professional services, which are traditionally highly regulated industries and therefore restricted on what they can say?
Oh, I used to work in the mining industry, so highly regulated industries. I love that because it's a big and it's great. So basically, it's don't say things that you're not allowed to say, but then explore all of the other things that you are allowed to say. So in terms of video content, people love behind the scenes. So what makes the company real? What goes on in the background? A lot of regulated industries come across in their marketing as quite stiff and boring, especially in financial services. I'm not sure if you're in financial services, but especially in. So it's like, I'll use financial services as an example. Trust is such a massive part of choosing who you're going to work with when it comes to anything to do with pensions, investments, or anything like that. So, you're going to choose somebody that you like and that is credible. So you can use video content as a way for your personality to shine through. Answer questions that keep cropping up by people that you are allowed to answer, because, everybody asks questions about every single industry out there. It's just about picking and choosing the questions that you can answer, even if it depends, but tell people why it depends and what it depends on. So give them the options, like spark their curiosity, get them thinking, invite them to come and speak to you privately so you can give them that information. But again, do it in a way that you're inviting them. You're not going, just do this and speak to me because I'm trying to sell to you.
Yeah, well, Lloyd will be happy with that. He is in the financial services. And lastly, I'm going to pick this one out from Lisa. Do calls to actions go down well or just annoy people?
So a call to action could just be leave a comment on my post. Like I said before, content to create curiosity, profile to convert. So a call to action, you don't want to be phone me for more information, go to my website for more information, send me a message for more information. That's the type of call to action that annoys people, especially if they see it all the time. You want those calls to action on your personal profile. So with your content, you basically want to like essentially lead people to think, I really need to have a conversation with this person. So a call to action could just be read this video, listen to this podcast. It could be sign up to a webinar, as long as that's not 100% of your content. It could just be leave a comment, like, let me know what you think, share your thoughts, you know, something like that.
Yeah, fantastic. I'll address Sam's question. He's asked, where's the best place to look for information on LinkedIn's ever-changing algorithm? Now, apart from talking to someone like Charlie, what blogs do you look at? Where do you go for that sort of information?
So Clubhouse, for anybody that's wondering about Clubhouse, is the next new shiny object. It's a massive rabbit hole, so be careful if you are going to get involved. But I was part of a room hosted by LinkedIn product managers earlier this week. So Clubhouse I see as being quite a big thing moving forwards. So the fact that LinkedIn's actual product managers were doing a Q&A is a great source of information, because you're getting the information direct from the horse's mouth. I would say follow LinkedIn trainers. So if you follow me, then I will post updates about what's going on. But also the algorithm, nobody really knows what's going on with the algorithm. We can only observe, and we can only sort of draw our own conclusions, and also do some research. So I posted an article highlighting all of the updates to LinkedIn in 2020 to personal profiles. I've got one coming up about company pages. There are quite a few other LinkedIn trainers that are very generous with their knowledge and their expertise. So it's find the LinkedIn trainers that you like. Just keep an eye on their content as well, or join a masterclass or an accelerator or a club and ask the expert.
Yeah. Well, we didn't even get round to the new LinkedIn features, which we were going to talk about. But you can also talk to Charlie about her 5-day LinkedIn challenge, which she's starting in February. So, Charlie, just give a quick overview on that and how people can get involved, because we will share the link after.
Brilliant. So there are, right, just full disclaimer, I am charging £47 for it. There are a lot of free LinkedIn challenges out there, but what I found is that they regurgitate a lot of information, and a lot of people don't actually do them. When I ran it, I did run it for free last September, and the feedback that I got was, why aren't you charging for this? And also quite a few people that did it got clients within that 5-day period. So when you pay attention. So that's why it's £47. But why you should join it is that this 5-day challenge, you'll get a 10-minute training video every day for 5 days. There's also going to be 2 Q&A sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, for half an hour. So you get essentially 5 hours worth of Q&A time with me, which is crazy that it's only £47, but anyway. But also you get that support, and also you get the extra networking too. It's all hosted on LinkedIn. I do my Q&As on LinkedIn Live, get lots of extra support, but it's focused around integrating LinkedIn into your sales and marketing strategy so that you win actual business. Not just collect connections, not just collect likes and comments on your posts, not just have people stroke your ego, but actually be able to generate real business from it. So that's what it's all about from the 8th.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We'll share that link after. And as you can see, we've ran over longer than normal, but hopefully this has been really useful for people. As I say, I think it'll be relevant to everyone who is on LinkedIn, thinking about getting a little bit more active on LinkedIn. But Charlie, if you're happy to stay in the room, we have it open until midday. So if you're happy to answer any questions in the room, that would be great. But for the time being, ladies and gents, Charlie Whyman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.